So yesterday we started talking about our writing project. Okay, so we said that I told you guys that you guys would be writing your own stories. So in a story, the author usually writes a story to entertain his readers. What's the meaning of entertain? Entertain means to have fun or to enjoy. So now that you guys are the author, you guys will be the author of the story. You guys will be the one writing the story. So for you guys to write a story, you guys need to know that a good story would be fun for readers. It would be fun for you to read. All right. So what are some features or some things that you need to be careful about when you think of writing your story? Okay, so a good story is fun to read. Okay, so when it's fun to read, it has a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, also when you think of a story, you have to choose the topic. You have to think of the main idea. What is this whole story going to be about? And the details that are in the story has to be related to the main idea. Okay, and then when you write the details, you have to put it in the correct order or correct sequence, which is the beginning and middle and end. And you can also use describing words such as adjectives to describe the things or the people in the story. Okay, so here, for example, in the first story about Sally and her stick, okay, so as we said in the first story about Sally and her stick, we underlined that Sally loves to play. Okay, that's what happened in the beginning of the story. That Sally, the dog, likes to play. What does she like to play with? She likes to play with her stick. Okay, we also use words to describe her. What sound she would make. She would say woof, 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 or grr, or arg when she argues. Okay, these are the things or the words that we use to describe the sounds that Sally the dog would make. And at the end, we wrote that only Sally knows what she is saying. Okay, so Sally is at the end shows you that Sally the dog is only only one who understands or know what she is saying. Okay, and then we did a map, right? We did a map of one of our stories that we read before. Okay, we did a map on page 74 about a story we read, and you guys chose the gingerbread man, right? These are other things that your story must have. Your story must have a title, and then in your story map you will write the characters of your story. Like here we wrote the characters of the gingerbread man, such as the gingerbread man, Granny and Gramps, Duck and Fox. Okay, what else did we put in our story map? We wrote, we summarized, we wrote what the main points of what happened in the beginning of the story. We said that Granny makes a gingerbread man. Why? Because she wanted a grandson. Okay, in the middle of the story, the gingerbread man was running. Who did the gingerbread man meet? He met Duck. What did the duck wanted to do to the gingerbread? She wanted to eat the gingerbread man. Okay, at the end of the story, the fox tricks the gingerbread man and eats him. Okay, and that was we made the story very short, writing only the important details in what happened in the beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so today we will continue talking about how else we will write the story. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to think about, you're going to think about what you want to write about in your story. Okay, so a story has a title, okay, and a story also has characters. Okay, it says a story tells about one or more characters. So your story can have one character or more than one character. Okay, in the story about Sally and her stick, it was only about Sally. The character here was about Sally the dog and her stick. The second story was about right, Ben, his dad, and he met his friend Sam, right? So this story had three characters. So your story can have one character or more. Okay, it tells about what happens to them in an entertaining way. So in your story, you will write about what happened to the character or characters in a fun way. All right? Think. Think of your idea. Think of the characters. It says purpose and audience. The purpose of writing a story is to entertain. So always keep in your mind that when you're writing a story, you want your readers to enjoy it, to have fun while they read it. The people who read the story are your audience. So I will be the first one that will be reading your story. So I will be your audience. And then later on, you guys can read it to the class. Okay, so the first thing you will do is think of a topic. Choose a topic. Begin by brainstorming characters for your story. Choose one. Think about what might happen to that character. List your ideas. So now that you are writing a story, what will you do? You will think of all the stories that you read. Okay, then you will choose a topic. You will choose what you want to write about and write down your characters and what happened to your characters in a list. So here the boy is thinking and he wants to write about a mouse named Max. So he titled his story Max Mouse, and he wrote some details about this character. He wrote had a lot of fur, lived in a hole. Here, of course, the spelling doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, hole got filled up, moved under hat. Okay, so the word pre-write means to write certain details about your story. It's not a paragraph yet. It's just certain points. Okay, so when you begin a story, what are you going to do? You're going to choose a topic. You're going to choose your character, and then you start thinking about how you will describe your character, what might happen to your character, like this boy. He decides to write about a mouse, and he named his mouse Max, and then he starts thinking of starts describing the character, that it has fur, and thinks about where it lives and what happened to its home. The hole got filled up. They closed the hole. So where did the mouse move? He moved under hat. Is this a story yet? No. He just wrote certain points. Okay? So this is called pre-write. You start to write certain points about your story. And then what do? You start to organize your story. Okay, this is the story map, as we did with the gingerbread man. Okay, after you choose the topic and you chose your characters and your title, you start putting the story in order, right? You put the detail in correct sequence. What happened to the mouse in the beginning of the story? Max Mouse lived in a hole. What happened to the hole? The hole got filled up. Somebody closed the hole. So Max the mouse cannot live in it. So what happened to the hat? What happened to the mouse? The mouse, he moved or went to live under a hat. This is called a story map. A story map helps you organize, okay, or it puts your story in the correct order or sequence. Remember, every story must have a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, on page 74B, what are you going to do? You're going to write, what are we going to do here? Here, we're going to write a story about, you're going to write a short story again. Okay, so a story is fun to read or listen to, right? Okay, it has beginning, middle, and end. Think about a story that you would like to tell. So here, you're just going to practice writing a simple story. Here this is just a sample from the book. Okay, it says, my story is about Fred Fish. Okay, what are we going to write about Fred Fish? So here we can draw a picture of the character, Fred Fish, and then you can start writing a simple details to tell what happened in the beginning, middle, and end. For example, here, beginning. Fred Fish is lonely. Okay, so Fred the fish is lonely. He's by himself. In the middle of the story, what happens? Fred Fish stops playing. He's lonely and then he stops playing. What happened in the end? Then Tim Turtle comes to play. Everyone is happy. So in the beginning of the story, the fish was lonely and he stops playing. Then Tim Turtle came and they came to play together, and now they're all happy. Okay, now I don't want you to put the same answer in your story on this page. I want you to think. Start thinking about your project and your story, and start to write about who is the story about. You can draw a simple picture about it and write what happened in the beginning and middle and end. Okay, so that's it for our writing today.